Welcome to the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, John.
Me!
The Quick Time Event Podcast is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. This week, we are going to be recapping all of E3, because it's that time of the year, and E3 is now in the rear view mirror. So let's get to all of that.
Christmas has come and gone.
Is it Christmas, or is it like Easter? Or is it like...
It's Christmas, but like you don't get anything. You just get told what you're going to get.
I kind of feel like it's one of those situations where like you have a birthday that happens to fall on like December 24th, you know,
Sure.
where it's like, I'm not actually getting anything, and I'm not actually getting anything until like the fall when these games start to come out. And then this year it's just like extra plagued because what a show this was. And we'll get to that in depth at some point tonight. But
yeah,
before we do that, John, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I, gaming wise, played some Doom. It is, I knew this going into it. I'm so used to like precision weapons and like being more careful, and sure. Doom is not.
No, I don't think there even is a precision weapon. Like the closest
there's a gun that has a scope.
Yeah, but when do you ever stay slow enough to use it?
Well, that's the thing. I tried it like once, and then just I got swarmed, and I was like, okay,
I don't think that
I can't do this.
I don't think that gun exists in Eternal. I don't think it does. Okay. I think it's gone. I don't think there's a scope in Eternal.
That would make sense because it works if like you're looking down into a room where there's a bunch of guys and you can just like pick them off from the start. Because if you can aim right and you use like you shoot one in the head, it's just dead. Like it doesn't matter what it is unless it's like one of those guys with the fucking bone skull head thing. I'm having fun with it. It's such a learning curve for me because, like I said, all the shooters that I play, I'm careful. I usually find cover and I do precision weapons.
No, but you got to get up and close and personal.
I just got to get full of rage, which is like the point.
The music helps.
Oh yeah, for sure. What else have I done? I've just done a lot of stuff around the house, not like exciting things to discuss on the podcast, just a lot of like maintenance and stuff like that. Adulting, if you will.
Sure. No Final Fantasy? No more Final Fantasy? At this point, you've Persona 5 yourself. It's been a month since you played Final Fantasy 7. You have maybe 3 or 4 hours left. You just need to sit down on Saturday and play the rest of it.
I just need to do it, and I will. I don't really have any plans for this weekend, so like my only plans are to finally beat Final Fantasy and then get as far into Doom as I can. Because like I said, I've been taking care of stuff around the place, and like in theory, when the weekend hits, I won't have to run errands, I won't have to do any cleaning, I won't have to do blah blah blah. I can just completely veg out and just binge the fuck out of video games.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna prep work.
Yeah. I'm probably going to end up doing that this weekend as well.
Binging video games or doing prep work?
Mostly
like
video
adult
games.
Stuff. Okay.
I don't think so. Did I talk about jury duty here, or did I mention that at all?
You, I think, put it in the Discord.
Okay,
I brought it up in the podcast.
I have jury duty on Monday. I have been summoned. I was told to be on call, and then I got a text today saying show up on Monday. So, gotta go to the courthouse on Monday, see what that's all about. No idea what how long that's gonna take. I don't know if it's gonna be like a 1 day and done kind of deal, or if it's gonna be a multiple day thing.
I mean, you basically have to do it for 2 weeks, right? Or 1 week? How long is it? I forget.
So I don't understand. It's not clear. It says so you're on call for 2 weeks. However, yes. I think once you're selected, you're done. So like I was selected. I have to show up on Monday. If I have a trial on Monday, then I think I'm done. I don't think I have to continue going or being on call for the rest of the 2 weeks.
So then do you have to go back to work, or do you just have 2 weeks off?
No. However, I will say my employer, which is a public university, after President Biden signed the bill into law today, celebrating Juneteenth as a federal holiday, we just got notice literally like 2 hours ago that we have tomorrow off in celebration of Juneteenth. So
nice.
That was,
I should bug my HR person.
Yeah. Hey, listen. This new federal holiday. What's up with that? When we getting that? I wasn't I have shit I should probably do tomorrow, and I'm gonna log on in the morning for a little bit because there is something I legitimately need to do. Because unfortunately,
you were planning on having a full workday.
Yeah.
And like 2 hours ago, they were like, nah.
Like no notice. Like, I mean, they've been talking about this, like the Senate passed it first, I think like a week ago, and then just went through the House. It's like, no notice? You guys weren't like thinking about this? You couldn't give us like any indication that this was going to happen? No.
Even just like hey, if this happens, here's how we're going to handle it this year.
We got they sent out the email at like 6:30 p.m. It's like, no one's checking their email at 6:30 p.m. That's
after business hours, so everybody's going to show up tomorrow.
My supervisor contacted me, and that's how I found out about it. But like, if I was just like some random person, or like, I don't know, I bet there's a lot of people that are going to log on tomorrow, or even go into the office tomorrow, and then just turn around and go back home.
You know what though? That's almost nice because like, I think that's the closest that you and I will ever get as adults with careers and jobs to getting a spontaneous snow day.
Nah, man, I get snow days. I've had two. Working at this university.
That most people, most adults would get to having a snow day.
I've worked at this university I'm going into my 4th year now. And I think we've had like 3. And like before, when I was a student, when we were students back in the late 2000s.
Back in the day.
Yeah, early 2010s. Like 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Fuck.
At that point, the university famously had never closed for any kind of cold or snow before. It wasn't until we got there. And then since then, it's been a lot.
Well, yeah, because then we got some polar vortexes, and it was like, if you're outside for more than 10 minutes, I think, you could get severe frostburn and like, I don't know, have to go to the hospital. And they were like, nah, let's not get sued into the ground.
So moral of the story, I have tomorrow off for the most part. I'll figure out what I'm going to do. But I'm guessing video games will be a part of that.
Sure.
I am about a little under halfway through Mass Effect 3 now. I don't really know what else I can say about Mass Effect at this point because I've talked so much about it for several weeks. I will say that it's kind of surprising how fast it went. Like, I guess if I count all 3 games, I'm probably in hour 60 something. But when you put it into context of it being like 3 full RPGs, that's not really that much.
Yeah, that's really not.
And so, like, I'm not bored of it at all. Like, I was kind of worried that going through all 3 games back to back to back again was going to be like a slog towards the end.
By the time you hit 3, you're like, I need a change of pace.
Yeah, and I'm not there. So that's a testament to those games. And I joined the Mass Effect subreddit a couple weeks ago, and
you weren't on it already?
No, with Reddit, I guess. I go through phases where I like join subreddits and leave subreddits. I've left all of the Persona subreddits aside from a couple select ones that basically just post fan art, essentially. Mostly because a lot of it is toxic garbage and
naturally,
like drama and stupid memes and waifu wars, and I don't want any of that shit. So I like join and leave stuff as we go. But the Mass Effect subreddit right now is full of people who either just found the series and they're going on there talking about like, oh my god, how the fuck have I not played this? Which is a lot of people, or it's people that have played the series a lot coming and like talking or like participating in conversations with those new people, and it's just like kind of a magical time for that franchise right now.
Yeah.
It's a good time to get into it if you're looking for like a new fandom to get into. I'd recommend this one. It's very positive right now, especially off the backs of probably its most negative when Mass Effect Andromeda came out a couple of years ago. So big turnaround there. But I
wonder if the that like same thing is going to happen, and we'll obviously touch on this more. But I wonder if that same idea is going to happen with the Metroid community.
Yeah, I have questions. I have questions about that when we get there. But yeah, Mass Effect is it seems like it's really healthy right now. I'm enjoying myself quite a bit. Enjoying going back through the story. I'm in like the deep parts of Mass Effect 3. There's like some all of Mass Effect 3 is a heavy game. It's all dark because the galaxy is ending essentially throughout the entire thing. So it's like, it's all doomsday, but there are some like really emotional, heavy story beats, like a third of the way through the game and 2/3 of the way through the game. And that's where I'm at right now. So people who have played that game understand what I'm talking about, but there's some sad stuff.
Bummer, man.
You know. I think that's about it that I've been, other than the games I'm always playing. Episode 2 of Loki came out yesterday. Big plot reveal. Big character reveal. Can't talk about it because John hasn't watched it yet.
Listen, this is actually not my fault. The person I'm watching with is on a trip. So like I can't. We've watched all the movies and almost all the shows so far together, and I'm not just gonna be like, okay,
you can't just start now.
I'm doing this without you.
Sure.
See ya. So.
But I'm liking where that's going. Again, very different from the other 2 series we've gotten from Disney Plus. And then the other thing I've been doing is just watching so much E3. I legitimately watched everything until Monday. I watched, I guess even within E3, there's several things that like aren't officially part of E3. Like the Devolver Digital thing wasn't part of E3. There were things there was a Wholesome Games presentation that wasn't a part of E3.
Yeah.
The Guerrilla Collective thing wasn't a part of E3. And there was one other thing, Day of the Devs was not. But I watched all of that. I basically turned on Twitch at, what was it, like 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I started watching E3 until all weekend. Had it on in the background on Monday until I decided to turn it off because it was garbage on Monday.
I didn't even turn it on Monday. Yeah, I'll be honest.
Yeah. But I've been watching a lot of E3, which is why I feel like I'm qualified to talk about E3 and about why we don't need it anymore.
It's true.
We'll get to that again at the end of this discussion. So with that, I guess let's just transition into it. It was E3.
Yeah. Go.
We got lots of presentations to go through. I think we'll spend more on some than others.
Sure.
And we'll do the predictions at the end. So we'll go through the recap of the show. We're going to go show by show, just the official E3 things. Again, we're not going to talk about, even though I really liked the Wholesome Games presentation, I thought that was like a really good indie showcase. Much better than any of the official E3 indie showcases. That one was probably the one to watch. We're not going to cover it here.
I did watch most of Day of the Dev. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that was really good. Tim Schafer, I think, hosts that, and like it's like the Day of the Devs, and then the next day, which was the Guerrilla Collective stuff and Wholesome Games. All of that happened before E3, and there was like at that point there wasn't any overlap. But then when you started to watch E3, a lot of the games that were in those first 3 things were just recycled multiple times throughout the rest of the things. It's like, at what point is it too much? So we're going to start this recap, this reactions, with the official start of E3 being Ubisoft Forward, which took place on Saturday. Now, John, what was your overall impressions of Ubisoft Forward?
I thought it was okay. It was like middle. It was middle of the pack, I guess. Like it didn't blow me away, but I was interested in what they were showing me for the most part. There were some things that didn't interest me, but you're going to have that with everything. It didn't move me to like pre-order anything.
No.
But there's some cool stuff coming for sure. Yeah. That I might dabble in at some point. Not day one stuff, but like stuff that I could see myself getting around to whenever I've cleared out more of my backlog.
So my thoughts on Ubisoft were like it was the first presentation of the show. So I was at this point not jaded. I felt positively about the presentation. I thought it was a fine Ubisoft Forward. I wasn't blown away. I wasn't super excited about anything. But like after it, I felt like, okay, you know what? That was better than what we've gotten from Ubisoft in the past. I would much prefer this than Ubisoft 2 E3s ago or 3 E3s ago when there was literally a 3.5 hour presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Nobody needs more than like arguably an hour and a half.
Yeah. I can't remember what year it was, but oh man, what's that actress's name? Do you know who plays Lana on Archer? What's her name?
Oh God. I don't know, but
she for many years, like 3 or 4 years in a row, she was like the host for the Ubisoft E3 presentation.
Aisha Tyler.
Yes, Aisha Tyler. So she was she like hosted E3 for Ubisoft like 3 or 4 years in a row. And this one I'm thinking of was one of her presentations. Obviously, she's not responsible for it. She was just the voice on the show.
She's hired talent. She's not Ubisoft.
Yeah, and like God bless her heart, she was out there acting. She was like so excited about everything. She's just excited to be there. But like it was literally at least 3 hours. I want to say 3 hours and some change. It's like Ubisoft is not big enough to have that much time to fill.
No.
So I would much prefer a presentation like this that is 35, 40 minutes long, and they show us some new stuff. And basically, all we're getting in this is the imminent. We're not getting anything that's a year out. We're not getting anything. None of this is 2022, aside from like 1 or 2 things at the very end of it.
Yeah.
All of it is imminent stuff. The stuff we're getting deep dives on is imminent things. And so, like, from that perspective, I thought it was fine. I would put it at, like, a solid C. Like, it was not offensive. I enjoyed my time with it, but it did not blow me away.
Yeah. I didn't want my time back after I finished watching it.
Yeah. So they started off the presentation with Rainbow Six Extraction, which is a PvE version of Rainbow Six that has some surprising elements in it. When they first announced this game 2 years ago, I wasn't interested, and I'm still not because I'm not a Rainbow Six player.
Sure.
But you could see some of the like influence they took from, especially Escape from Tarkov, but then also some like other. I'm thinking mostly of like PUBG and some other games like that. But there's a lot of influence in there with like unexpected properties, I guess. And it's Rainbow Six is all about multiplayer, and this one in particular is PvE multiplayer, and I just don't see myself ever getting into that. I feel like this is a game you need to play with friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm just not going to be in it enough to like try and get a group of 4 people together, or however many people you need to actually play it.
For me it really depends on how many people you need, because if it's like, if you can get away with a squad of 3, okay, maybe. But like as soon as you need 4 people, it's like, okay,
that's too much.
This is now becoming a chore. I don't have like I have more than 3 friends, but no group of friends is more than 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, coordinating that's
like
too
I
hard.
have college friends, I have whatever friends, I have like some friends from high school, but like I would need to combine groups to get enough to have a group of 4.
Sure.
And it doesn't always work.
And then on top of that, it's coordinating everyone's schedule. Like at this point in our life, we don't have that ability, at least not on the level that we did 10 years ago. Like it's really easy for 4 college kids on a Friday night in the middle of summer to just be like, all right, let's play Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Me, not so much. I think it looks cool.
I mean, really, there's no excuse though.
No, like there's not.
I'm trying to think what you or I would likely be doing on a Friday night, and really, it's nothing. It's nothing that couldn't be changed or pushed back.
Why you gotta do us dirty like that? You're not wrong.
I'm just being honest. It's rare whenever there's like legitimately, hey, I'm going out and doing something I can't.
Your time becomes more valuable when you get older, though. Your time is. Yeah. I'm not spending my time on a porch, like just drinking my life away like I did in college.
Yeah, no, I remember there'd be days in summer where I'd just like bike over to a friend's house and we would literally just sit around just shooting the shit, and it was like, okay, now I would not do that because I have things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Hard to do that. I think the game looks great, though. Like,
yeah, it looks fun.
It looks fun. Good way to start the show. They're bringing Rocksmith back with Rocksmith Plus. That do anything for you?
No,
no.
Not. I mean, like,
it's a cool idea.
It is a cool idea, and it's something that maybe I'd like to try at some point, but I don't know.
I just wonder what that player...
I think you and I are past the guitar, like, stage. Maybe.
No comment. My father. No, not me. My father-in-law though started playing guitar at like 50 something. So like,
well, no, that's you start young when you're in like high school or college, but then I feel like people don't get into it in like their mid to late 20s, and then if you're gonna learn it at some point after that, it's whenever you're like middle aged. Like that's it. You and I cannot learn. We cannot pick up a guitar for like another 20 years.
Yeah, there's no 30-year-olds trying to learn guitar for the first time.
No.
I don't want to go through every single thing on this list, or we will be here until
we'll be here
3 a.m. So the other major things, Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC, which I guess the next big thing that was like for a game that's coming out is Far Cry 6 footage.
Sure.
Which honestly turned me off of Far Cry even more than I was already.
Yikes.
Like, okay, I think it's well documented at this point that I did not like Far Cry 5. And
apples.
I was hopeful that Giancarlo Esposito's acting was going to like make me want to play this game.
Yeah.
But after the story trailer that we got at the E3 presentation, I just kind of feel like it's just another, like, it's not doing anything interesting.
No, it's just another Far Cry.
He was fine in it, but it looked horrible. Like, you look at the facial animation of especially him, which is like you're comparing it because he has a face, like it's his actual face. So like, it doesn't.
They did the mocap.
They did do mocap, but they didn't do great. Like, I don't know if it's their engine. I don't know if it's just that their whatever engine the Far Cry games are based off of, if that needs updated. I don't know if that's the issue or if it's, I don't know. I'm just saying that I am used to Naughty Dog. I'm used to Ghost of like the Sucker Punch and Insomniac. Even Insomniac, like the Spider-Man facial animation is leagues ahead of what Ubisoft is doing right now. And like it's taking me out of it, and it makes me feel like it's an old retreading of a game. So I was not very high on it. But
it did nothing for me, but I've never really been into Far Cry.
Right.
So.
And like my sour taste with Far Cry 5 just sort of cements that further. I don't have like any nostalgia for Far Cry when it was supposedly good back in Far Cry 3. However, we are getting Blood Dragon as DLC for this, and from what I understand, Blood Dragon is like the best piece of Far Cry media. Like if you're going to play one Far Cry thing, Blood Dragon is the thing to play.
Neat.
So they're re-releasing it as part of DLC. Like, I don't know. Like, at this point, they're just giving us old things.
Yeah.
If you're selling a new Far Cry game, wouldn't you want to make, and I'm sure they are going to make DLC for Far Cry 6, but you're giving us Far Cry 3 DLC as Far Cry 6 DLC, and something about that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
First surprise of E3 is the unveiling of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Or
hell yeah.
It would have been a surprise had Nintendo of America had not...
Of all people to betray.
Yeah, but Nintendo is, they get really pissed when people leak stuff. And then they go and leak this game before Ubisoft's press conference. What the fuck is that?
Mere hours.
What the fuck is that? Did you play Mario plus Rabbids, the first one, Kingdom Battle?
I didn't, but I've heard so many people really liked it, and like I've been tempted so many times to pick it up, especially recently because it's been on sale for like $10.
It's cheap.
I think there was like a gold version which has the DLC for $15, and I was like, shit.
You have to get it when it's on sale though, because it's full $60 right now.
Oh yeah, no. I would not pay $60 at this point. I would not pay $60 for it because it's like a 5 or 4-year-old game.
I think it came out in 2017, so yeah.
But
yeah,
every time it's on sale, I just look at my backlog and I'm just like, next time.
Yeah.
Whenever I break like 30 games, I'll get this one.
I think it's because it's published by Ubisoft.
Oh, definitely.
Because when you're right, when it's on sale for like Black Friday, it's really on sale for like 80% off.
It's not the Nintendo sale of, it's now $49.99.
Yeah, because they'll put Breath of the Wild on sale this Christmas and it'll be $49.99.
Yeah.
But Mario plus Rabbids you should be able to get pretty cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
This one looked a little bit different. Like the gameplay it doesn't look like it's grid based.
Yeah, it didn't have the grids. It was more free movement. Yeah. I don't know how that's entirely going to work because I imagine you still have a range of like how much you can move. So maybe didn't Plants vs. Zombies do something like that at one point too? Or there was another game that had like a meter where it was like, okay, here's how much you can move. We're not going to tell you like the spaces, but like here's your movement ability.
There's a few games that are like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they ended with Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, an Avatar game that has been in development that we've known about for like 5 years. They finally show an actual trailer for it.
Do you know how many times I forget about the Avatar franchise and how it's supposedly still going to have new stuff?
This is like the prevailing question of our time, I think. Because the original Avatar movie came out in 2009, I think.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm pretty sure I was a freshman in college. I think it was fall of 2009.
I was definitely in high school.
And guys, it's been 12 years. 12 years. And somehow
December 18th, 2009.
Somehow that fucking thing has an amusement park at Disney World. Like it's
Did they
part
ever finish
of
that?
Is that it's
up?
open. Yeah, at Animal Kingdom.
Like last time I went, it was under construction. And I was like, yeah, this fucking fits for Avatar.
Yeah, no, it's open. They opened it.
Okay.
Based on one movie from 12 years ago, an entire section of a theme park. It took Marvel 10 years and like 20 movies to get the Marvel Avengers Campus thing now at Disneyland. These fuckers get one movie in a theme park. And now there's like 4 sequels, I think, that are greenlit.
Yeah, I saw the years for them. It's like 2022, 2024, I think 26 and like 29 or something.
Like that. Why? What is so great about this?
Yeah.
Like, if I remember Avatar correctly, I mean, everybody flipped their fucking shit over it because of the CG in it and the 3D. And now, like, there are video games that look better than Avatar does, like from 2009. I'm sure the next one, like it'll look fine. It'll look probably really good. That's the entire point of these movies, I guess. But like, is graphics really enough to sustain a fucking like the story to me is just so generic. Like the story is just
it was basically wasn't it basically just like space person Pocahontas?
Yeah. It's like, oh, the oppressors, the colonizers come and they take our resources, and now I'm on the side of the natives.
And if I remember right, they had the worst name for that element because I believe it was called unobtainium.
It sure was. Yeah, I don't understand the love.
That's something that
Avatar.
a goddamn 5-year-old makes up as a name. Hey, there's this really rare element that here's hey
that's
kid,
a Futurama element.
Here's the thing that a lot of people want, but you can't get it. What should we call it? Can't get it. Anium. Good. We're gonna tweak it a little bit, but I like where your mind's at.
I don't get it. I don't get the love for that thing.
I don't either.
But it's getting 4 more movies and a video game.
Is it just James Cameron? Is that it?
I guess it's Space Titanic. I guess.
You and I don't think we'll ever understand it.
No.
Anyways,
I will put out another plea to any of our listeners. If you like the Avatar franchise, please come on our show and talk to us about why you like Avatar.
If you feel that the Avatar franchise after one movie deserves its Disney park,
that's the thing.
Please
you can
come
like.
tell us.
I'm not saying you can't like Avatar. I'm like Avatar. If you like Avatar, that's fine. But if you think that Avatar deserves 4 sequels before the second movie comes out, 12 years after the original movie comes out, plus a major AAA game developed by Ubisoft, and on top of all of that, a fucking not billion, it's probably not billion, but I would guess $100 million amusement park at Disney World, one of the the most prolific fucking theme park on the world. Please come on our show and tell me why you think it deserves that. I'm genuinely curious.
We will not bully you.
No.
For your beliefs unless they're shit.
Yeah. So be prepared to defend yourself.
I'm willing to listen. My ears are open. My heart is open. I just want to understand.
So that was the end of Ubisoft's press conference. Like I said, nothing that like really blew me away. I'm sure if Avatar truly was like a big deal to somebody, that would be a really cool way to close the press conference. But to me, it was not. Fell flat for me.
Yep.
But at this point, I don't really have anything I'm looking forward to for Ubisoft.
I've fallen off the Ubisoft train for sure.
The only 2 things that I'm really looking forward to is Splinter Cell, which is never going to happen again in my lifetime, and possibly Assassin's Creed, depending on what they decide to do with it. However, I can't gel with these new Assassin's Creed games. Like, they're not the games that I fell in love with. And so, like, if I see more Assassin's Creed Valhalla stuff, that doesn't get me excited. If they come out and do Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2, that's not going to get me excited. So, like, I don't really know what to look. I don't think there's anything I can look forward to. Because they're not going to do a new Splinter Cell game. There's rumors that there's going to be like a Splinter Cell plus Ghost Recon plus Division game. Like they're just combining all of the B tier Tom Clancy things into one package, basically, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is not what I want. So I don't know. Ubisoft used to be one of my favorite publishers, and in recent years, just not doing it for me.
I feel like Ubisoft, like everybody who is really into Ubisoft is like between the ages of 16 and like 22. That's their like target demographic.
Sure.
At this point. Because
they're not old enough to remember how the old Assassin's Creed like played. They're not old enough to miss Splinter Cell.
Yeah, exactly.
They've just lost the people that grew up in the 2000s, basically.
Yep.
from Ubisoft, we're going to move on to the worst thing I think I've ever watched in my life. I don't know why I kept this on. Mostly because Kinda Funny was reacting over it, and I just watched their reactions, I guess, and that is the Gearbox presentation.
I don't think I watched it. I think I had to run an errand and I missed it.
You missed nothing.
Good.
So
I can tell based on what you wrote down.
Let's pretend for a second that they announced anything. They didn't. They didn't announce anything because the biggest thing that they had was the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands thing, which was already debuted at the Summer Games Fest thing, Jeff Keighley's thing. Yeah. So they showed nothing new at this thing, except for like literally 20 minutes of Randy Pitchford on the set of the Borderlands movie, where he didn't show us anything. So
that sounds like pain.
So first, I have to sit through fucking Randy Pitchford talking to me.
Yes.
Which is a fucking pain in the ass to begin with, because Randy Pitchford is he's a douche. He's a big douche. Not a fan of that dude. So like that's horrible. But then the entire point of him being on screen, which is to show us the Borderlands movie, he doesn't show us anything because it's all like every time they get close to showing us like something from the set, it gets blurred out. It's literally just Randy Pitchford on a soundstage talking to nobody. At one point, he does go and knock on Kevin Hart's trailer and he talks to Kevin Hart, and it was really awkward and cringy. Like Kevin Hart came out and he was kind of combative. He was like, you all just like, you don't know anything about me. Like, he was trying to like play off the fact that like this is a really weird casting decision. And I don't know. It was cringy and I did not gel with that. And Randy Pitchford was like trying to be all excited about like meeting Kevin Hart. It's like, that's great for you, dude, that you met Kevin Hart or whatever. But like,
don't make us watch it.
No. It would have been cool if he like at least showed us what a set looked like, or at least showed us some costumes. We haven't even seen these actors in the costumes yet. Like, he didn't show us anything. This whole presentation, this 30-minute Gearbox presentation, was a giant waste of time. It is the only thing in this entire E3 press event from the last week that I would give a solid F to. Like, it was just bad. It was offensive because Randy Pitchford was on screen. They didn't announce anything.
Yeah.
What the fuck was the point of having it at all?
They said, "Hey, E3 is happening. We gotta be there."
That's exactly what it was. Hey, we have the opportunity to do this. And this is a key thing for, I think, a lot of these, is we have the opportunity to say something. We should say something. When in fact, you probably shouldn't say something.
Yeah.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
So Gearbox, super offensive to me. F tier.
Perfect.
I feel like I'm missing stuff from Saturday. Let me open up the schedule real quick.
I mean, it's that like side stuff, like Day of the Dev was Saturday, and
right.
God, something else, but I forget now.
Really, honestly, that Wholesome Games presentation was so good. There were so many indie games that like look really interesting that I want to play out of that.
Yeah.
The issue is that they held it during E3 week, and now like all of these indie games, I can't remember what any of them look like.
They're buried, yeah.
And like the names aren't unique enough
memorable
to make me remember what it looks like, but I remember seeing a lot of these trailers and being like, fuck, that looks so cool.
Just gotta go rewatch the VOD.
Oh, that's right. The last thing
with a notepad and just write down the names.
That's the bad thing, was I even wrote them down. I wrote down the ones I'm interested in, and I still don't remember what they look like or why I was interested in them.
Huh.
The last thing on Saturday was the Games Beats session with Jeff Grubb. And that ended up not being an announcement thing at all. It was just like an E3 hype thing. where like he and his partner like just kind of like reacted to. It was a YouTube style reaction video where they reacted to like the most hype E3 moments over the last 15 years or whatever.
Why?
I don't know. It wasn't bad. Like it was a fun thing to watch. It's just, it doesn't need to be on this list.
Yeah.
Like E3 curated, I say curated loosely because they just assembled a list essentially. They put all of these things on this list when most of them aren't even like really news related. Like this E3 broadcast schedule, to me, it should have been about announcements and things. But we have this Games Beat session on here that's labeled that was not about that at all. The Gearbox thing had nothing to show. Going on later, like the Capcom thing didn't have anything to show. There's just the Take-Two Interactive panel wasn't even about games. It was about Take-Two's implementation of diversity initiatives in their company, which is a cool thing that you're going to do a panel on. But to have it in the middle of E3 like this, smack dab in the middle of a bunch of press conferences where like, I would assume that you're talking about games here, but you're not. You're talking about diversity. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like
There's a time and a place.
100%. And E3 is not that time or place.
Or if it is, it's whenever it's live in person and you can have people go to those those actual like God, what are they called again? You just said the word and I forgot.
Panels.
Already. Yes. Or
the ESA could have just done a better job of marketing these things. They just lumped them all together in one big group, and they didn't label what anything actually was. At least categorize these things. Like, okay, this one's about game reveals. This one's about initiatives. Like, there should be a way to do that and not just have this big thing here, because this sets expectations, and they set expectations poorly.
Yeah, make categories and then decide who presents when so that the categories either are mixed up and you get a little bit of everything every day, or you get 2 days of game reveals and a day of industry news and stuff like that.
So moving on to day 2, we open up with my favorite conference, which was the Xbox and Bethesda showcase.
It was Todd who started it, right?
It was Todd, yeah. They brought Todd Howard out on stage first. He talked about how exciting it is to be a part of Xbox. And then he just dropped the Starfield trailer, which was leaked fucking like literally 10 minutes before the conference started. By like Forbes or something. It was some weird, like, not necessarily gaming centric website.
Sure.
Or maybe it was the Washington Post or the New York Times or something. It was weird. But yeah, to have Todd Howard come out and open up the show is like such a fucking power move. It's like, oh, you thought Phil Spencer was going to be here. No, it's Todd Howard, because now he is us and we are him.
We have acquired him.
But he showed off the trailer for Starfield, and then after he left the stage, it was just game after game after game after game after game.
Which is how it should be.
Yes. No talking heads, very little, like, deep dives into games where it's like, hi, I'm the developer, and here I'm going to talk about how the Master Chief can double jump. But none of that was a part of anything.
Yeah.
It was just showing off new games. So we'll go through the biggest games here. Starfield obviously kicking it off. Do you have any reactions to Starfield?
Not yet. I'm going to reserve judgment until I play it.
I have been looking forward to Starfield since it was announced, because the idea of Skyrim in space or Fallout in space is...
That's the thing. I love Skyrim. I don't love Fallout. So like I don't know where I'm going to land on this thing.
Sure. But the idea of a Bethesda RPG in space sounds cool off the bat.
Sure.
I came away from that initial reveal feeling a little bit underwhelmed. Not because I was expecting them to show more of the game. I did predict that they were going to show a full gameplay trailer and give us some actual like story nuggets. We really didn't get very much of that at all. It was basically just a sort of a tonal trailer, if anything. You get a little bit of art direction.
Yeah.
But I was expecting a little bit more. But after they showed this, I kind of came away a little less than enthusiastic, mainly because of the art style. And that's not fair of me to say because I literally know nothing about the game yet. But when I think about my like ideal sci-fi kind of experience, I like sleek sci-fi. I'm not so much into like blocky military grade like mech kind of sci-fi, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like
almost like not steampunk, but like
basically like I like fantastical sci-fi. I don't necessarily like hard gritty sci-fi.
You like, so I really hope that I convey this correctly. You like the sci-fi where it's the picture of how society would be if X thing happened and all the buildings are sleek and white and just everything's nice and like nothing is jagged.
Yes. I like round things. I don't like square and rectangular things.
From an aesthetic standpoint, you like Echo in Overwatch.
Not
you do
Farah.
Do not like Farah.
Except that I actually do like Farah quite a lot.
But like from a
design standpoint.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like the way that these ships are designed, the way that like the game kind of showed the technology off, it seemed too realistic. Because it's only set supposedly 300 years in the future, which is not very far. But then again, Mass Effect is set 150 years in the future, and Mass Effect is Mass Effect. Like,
yeah,
there doesn't necessarily need to be like reasoning for the way technology is in the future.
Oh, I have way better comparisons. Why didn't I use those? You like either, so there's two games since we're video game people. You like the Covenant, not the human technology in Halo. Or if you've played StarCraft, you would like the Protoss stuff, but not the Terran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like there was even a part in the trailer where the ship took off and it seemed to be using like rocket fuel to take off. And even that was just like, you're telling me we're still doing fossil fuels?
We're still burning shit?
Like, what the fuck? How is this working? Yeah. So, like, I know that's a really small fucking little thing to be triggered by, but, like, the way that they're building out the technology in this game is not making me excited for it.
Yeah.
That's not to say that I'm not excited for it, because I am. It's just I was hoping for something a little more fantastical, I guess.
Sure.
I thought it's really weird that they gave us a date. I think Bethesda just really likes those clean dates. 11/11/22 is the date. That's over a year and a half away. I highly doubt they're going to fucking hit that thing, because how many times have we had a game announced a year and a half in advance and it actually hits that date? Yeah. It'll be delayed.
Without a doubt.
Let's see. The next kind of surprise, I guess the first surprise actually, other than Starfield, was Contraband, which is a new IP from... I didn't write it down.
It's okay. Who cares?
That's a good point. No, it's from... fucking hell.
You're not excited for Back 4 Blood?
No.
Did you like Left 4 Dead?
I played it like twice, but again, that's another example of a game where it's like, it's a PvE game. It's not a competitive kind of thing. I'm sure there will be the opportunity for me to jump in with 3 randoms, but is that really fun?
No. Yeah, it's definitely more fun with people that you actually know.
Yeah. And if I were to pick between Rainbow Six and Back 4 Blood, I would probably pick Rainbow Six because it's basically what you were saying, like Doom versus your typical FPS. Because Rainbow Six is very tactical, which is the style I prefer, whereas Back 4 Blood is very chaotic.
Yes, 100%.
It's from Avalanche. Oh, they're the what the fuck is it? The game that we always make fun of? The Just Cause people.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I wanted it. So Contraband is a new Xbox exclusive IP from the Just Cause people.
Great.
Jack Sparrow's in Sea of Thieves, everyone.
Why?
Oh, people like Jack Sparrow, I think.
It looks like they Frankenstein bits and pieces of all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, for sure.
They were like, okay, we have this pirate game, so let's take Davy Jones and let's take this cursed medallion.
I do feel like they went one step too far from it. Like if they had just had just had Jack Sparrow in it, and like crafted a narrative around just him as a character, I feel like that would have been a lot cooler than shoehorning in all of those other Pirates references.
Yeah, it just feels like it's now almost a Disney game.
Sure. It did even look like Disney Infinity. It looked like that Toys to Life game from 5 years ago.
Which is fine, but then make that its own game. Don't hijack this game that like has actually, I think, built a pretty solid community. Like,
I think they're excited.
What are the odds
that
they alienate half their fans?
See, okay. I don't want to be offensive. This is a way to start a conversation.
That's how you know that you're going to be offensive.
I feel like Xbox players.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what to say. I feel like Xbox players.
Yes. Go on.
Okay, let me preface this by saying that I literally just bought a Series X. I am now a Series X owner. I have an Xbox, so I'm
congratulations.
I kind of feel like with these like things that are now Xbox exclusives, or like things that Xbox is putting out now, I kind of feel like Xbox players either are getting really excited at just new stuff when maybe they haven't had new stuff in a long time.
That's fair, yeah.
Or they're getting like they're kind of like getting fake excited. Like maybe they actually are getting excited by it, but like it's not necessarily like real excitement, if that makes sense.
They want other people to think that they're excited.
Yeah.
Like put on a mask.
Exactly.
Like as soon as you step inside your door and step inside your house and close the door, you're like,
right.
You just sigh.
Or like after you log off a Reddit and you stop like being excited on the internet, you never think about it again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what it is with especially this one, because it felt to me too shoehorned and too kitschy. Because you're right, Sea of Thieves has developed like this amazing community over the years, and it has great content because people keep coming back to it. And the fact that it's on Game Pass and they give you everything for free means that there's a player base there. I just kind of feel like with adding in Jack Sparrow, maybe it's just an attempt to get like new players into the game that are familiar with Pirates of the Caribbean. But to me, it just feels too forced.
Yeah.
From there, we went into Battlefield 2042, which I don't know. I didn't watch because I know Battlefield 2042 was announced before E3, like a week before E3. I don't know if this trailer had been around before, but this was the first time I actually saw the gameplay, and it looks good. The like the weather effects and the way that like the Battlefield's always been about destructibility in the maps and like
yes.
throwing in crazy weather effects like this, it just looks fucking insane. Plus, you add in the fact that it's 128 players. That's a lot of people.
It is.
My only worry with Battlefield 2042 is that it is a next generation game being sold for $70. And it has to compete with the likes of Apex Legends and Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone and Halo Infinite, which are all free-to-play games.
Yeah.
So, like, I love Battlefield. I've always been a Battlefield player. Like, that's been my favorite shooter series since I was in high school. Because I love the huge maps and the vehicle combat part of it.
Yeah.
I fell off with Battlefield 1. That was the last one I really played, which was the World War I one. Back in, like, 2016, I think is when that game came out. That was the last real Battlefield I played. But I'm definitely going to give this one a go. I just hope that the player base is there. Because I'm worried about it in the face of all of these other free-to-play multiplayer games that people are already entrenched in.
And that's, I mean, this might be a discussion for another time, but, like, the pricing and just the like that side of the games industry is, I feel like it's really weird right now with a consumer base. Because I saw somebody, and it was probably just a vocal minority, but I've seen people tweeting about, again, we'll talk more about this later, but the new Metroid game. And somebody was like, Nintendo's really charging $60 for this indie game? And it's like, first off, you don't clearly know what Metroid is. But also, like, why would you complain about that but not about another first-party Nintendo franchise? Like, I feel like that mindset has really started to come out thanks to all these free-to-play games.
I think you're right, especially with Game Pass too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, those the free to play games, and then the Game Pass, and just a lot of indie titles kind of flooding the market at really low prices.
I do also kind of feel for Nintendo fans on that specifically, just because Nintendo is horrible with their pricing to begin. I fully expect, whenever the Switch Pro gets announced, even if it's 2 years from now, whatever though, like, at this point there will definitely be Switch Pro exclusive games. I'm guessing most of them will be third party, but those games are going to be $70 probably. If there is a Nintendo first party game, it's probably going to be $70. So then on top of that, you have Nintendo with, like, not only are they charging more money for their first party games at that point, but then also they never discount their games. It doesn't matter.
If they do, it's by a just tiny amount.
Sure. Or, like, they're selling 25-year-old games for $60 again. It's like, I understand with Metroid Dread, and maybe we'll get to this a little bit deeper, but, like, it is technically, I mean, it's a new game, but it's also a game that was announced 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I understand why someone might have a problem with paying, top shelf prices for what is essentially a 2D Metroid game, which might be fantastic. We don't know.
I think the big thing is that, especially with this, I think a lot of people see 2D and they're like, this shouldn't be $60. This is 2D. There's a dimension missing. Why would I pay $60? There's one less dimension. That's a third of them.
Sure, but
$40.
But when you look at what other publishers are doing, like Ori wasn't $60.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shovel Knight's not $60. Or not Shovel Knight. I mean, yes, Shovel Knight's not $60, but Hollow Knight's not $60.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. But also, there's a lot to look at.
There is a lot to look at, yeah.
The game I am most looking forward to, that's not maybe true, but a game that I've been looking forward to for a very long time is this 12 Minutes game, which stars Daisy Ridley and
oh God, Green
what's his
Goblin.
fucking name? Yes,
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. Yes, I've been looking forward to that game for a very long time. I'm excited that it finally has a release date and is finally coming out on August 19th. Because it looks just fantastic.
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2 is on August 25th. That has a release date finally as well. Hades is coming to console, both Xbox and PlayStation, on August 13th.
I'm so excited for hopefully a lot more people to experience that game.
I might take a look at what the trophy list is, and I might rebuy it and give it another chance.
Did you not like it? I forget.
It wasn't that I didn't like it. It didn't get me to play it past beating it once. Like, I defeated Hades once, and I stopped playing.
So you didn't get the true ending?
No.
Okay.
But if depending on how hard the trophy list is, that might be enough to make me go back and play it more.
Man, that game is either going to have it's not going to have an easy trophy list, that's for damn sure. It's either going to have a very realistic trophy list or a god-awful trophy list. One of the two.
I will say, what's that studio? Supermassive or Supergiant?
Supergiant, yeah.
Supergiant. Their trophy lists have been pretty easy. So,
okay.
I mean, the game itself is obviously difficult, but like...
I just assume that there's going to be a trophy in there to get the like real ending.
I'm sure there will.
And you're going to have to clear the game. To get the real ending, you have to clear it a number of times. And that's just going to take time.
Sure.
It's not necessarily hard, but
I don't think there's going to be... there's like that way, and I don't remember this part fully because I didn't really get to experience it. But there's a way to make the game harder.
Oh, yeah, the heats.
The heats, yeah. So, like, I don't think there's going to be one in there for, like, maxing out heat or whatever, like beating a run on max heat. Oh God, no,
that'd be horrible. But there might be something to max out all the weapons, and to do that, you need to do the other heats, because that's how you get the upgrade material easily, is by, like, for every heat level, you basically, the like boss at the end of each floor, how they'll give you something like Titan's blood or a diamond,
the crafting material. Or whatever.
Each time you beat a run with a different weapon, you can get all those drops, all those rewards. Then if you go back through on every single heat higher, you can get those rewards again.
And
the only way to max out certain things is to get those. I guess you could just grind away and like trade with this shopkeeper, but that would take forever.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what the trophy list looks like. It might get me to buy the game again, but we'll see.
Fair.
Halo Infinite coming out holiday 2021. No release date on that Halo Infinite.
Holiday 2021.
They showed us very little of the campaign. We saw a new AI, and that's basically it. We saw someone else go into the Chief's head. Cortana 2.
And I'm really confused about what the fuck they're gonna. I want to know what's happened to original Cortana, because man,
there's a lot they need to explain.
Brush that under the rug, can they?
But they brushed. Yes and no. I think they will eventually explain it, but it's gonna be in a book. Like, do you remember? But like, how did we get from Halo 1 to Halo 2? That was never explained in a game.
Yeah.
Master Chief, fair. I mean, he was on the ring blew up. He was
drifted.
And then magically he was back on Earth. Like that, I kind of feel like they're going to go that route with it, and they're just not going to really say very much.
Sure.
But we'll find out eventually. The trailer they showed at E3 this year was really multiplayer centric, and then the event, they did actually like a standalone Halo reveal thing the next day.
Naturally.
Where they showed off a lot of the new stuff for Halo multiplayer.
I really hope that Craig is an Easter egg.
The Craig skull. It turns all of the textures down a level. Yeah, man. I don't know. I I feel like Halo is in the same place that Horizon Zero Dawn is right now, where they're saying 2021, and they really, in their heart of hearts, believe it's going to be 2021, but 2 months are going to pass here real quick, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know.
That's fair.
I really, like, if you can't confirm it's coming out now, I just have no faith in it actually hitting.
Yeah, you should. If it's within 6 months, you should be able to give us a date. You shouldn't have to say holiday. Holiday is whenever it's a year and a half away.
And I would rather them do this than to have anything remotely resembling the Cyberpunk meltdown from last year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that hits.
We shall see.
Have you ever played Slime Rancher?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did play Slime Rancher. It was fun. It really scratched the like organizational game. That said, I don't know if we need a second.
Yeah, so we're getting Slime Rancher 2. The reason I asked that is because it is on Game Pass, and I'm thinking about playing it because I want a game like that.
It was fun. No, don't get me wrong. I had a good time with it. There were like little puzzles, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It's
okay.
If you want, well, if you like look up a guide, you can beat that game in like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But like if you want to actually do it,
I guess my question
it'll
is,
take like 10 hours maybe.
I wonder if I need to play. I mean, I don't think I need to play it for any kind of story reason.
Do you need to play Slime Rancher before you play Slime Rancher 2?
My question is, do I just wait for Slime Rancher 2 because it's going to be probably improved? Or is it worth playing both? I don't know.
I think you should just play the first one because like it's kind of a cartoony style.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
From a graphical standpoint, it's probably going to be the same.
That's true.
I think that really all that they're doing is making a new like story and putting in new slimes.
Yeah, I've seen people stream it before, so like I have a general idea of how the game plays. I don't know if I'm going to want to play both. So I'm wondering if I should wait to play the new one.
Too much slime.
Yeah. Got a snowboarding game that I don't care about called Shredders. Atomic Heart looked weird as fuck. I have no idea what was going on in that trailer. Then, this might honestly be my game of the show. The game I am most looking forward to. That was announced at this show.
Yeah.
And that is Replaced. It was pixel art.
On what it was about.
It's a pixel art side scroller that looks incredible. It's very like it almost has some cyberpunk feel to it.
That's right. This was the one that like it was so weird because like whenever you zoomed in on the characters, you could tell it was pixel art, but whenever like
you panned out and
it
like
was a cutscene, it looked not pixel art, and I was like, what is this
and
game?
Like when the character was moving, the camera would like kind of like tilt around and stuff. It was really, really cool looking.
Yeah.
So Replaced is coming out sometime in 2022. That is probably my most anticipated indie game as of right now.
It's a good choice.
The Outer Worlds 2 is getting The Outer Worlds is getting a sequel with The Outer Worlds 2. And I have a question.
Yep.
When the fuck does Obsidian find the time? How are they working on this game? Because they are also working on, they just finished, like, I think The Outer Worlds got its last DLC not too long ago. Then they're also working on Avowed. And they're also working on one other thing that I'm forgetting. They have like 3 projects going at once. How?
It's okay. I did like their trailer, though.
It was a good trailer.
Their trailer was funny.
I'm thinking about going back and playing The Outer Worlds, actually, the first one. I know it's...
So, what is The Outer Worlds?
From what I can understand, it's like if you fuse it
looked like Space Fallout, which is what Starfield might also be.
Okay, it is. So if you fuse, I'm blanking on the name of the game. It's the game that I know I need to play. And I've been told to play it many times. No. Fuck fucking hell.
Have I ever told you need to play it?
It is the game in the first one and the second one, you're underwater. And in the third one, you're in a city.
Bioshock.
Bioshock. You combine Bioshock, you combine Fallout, and you combine Borderlands. And then you get the Outer Worlds. That's from what I understand.
I'd probably like that because I like 2 of those 3.
I think you would like Fallout if you gave it a fucking chance.
I probably would.
I feel like
but at this point, I
it's
like,
fair.
I'm kind of committed to being like, no, Fallout 3.
I feel like this isn't a Mario or Zelda situation for me because I don't like those kind of games. But I know that you like games like Final Fantasy. I know you like games that have these narrative like RPG. I know you like those games.
It's just the VAT system. That's literally all.
Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming out July 27th. Time to fly around the world.
I hate how every time I see that game, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I do want to play this.
I'm probably gonna play it.
Like whenever I first saw it, I was like, what the hell is this? Why do I need a flight simulator? Now I'm just like, I
kind of want to fly over there.
Maybe I do need flight sim. Maybe I need to buy an Xbox Series X.
Forza Horizon 5, November 9th. Taking the Forza series to Mexico.
Still does absolutely nothing for me.
Nah, looked pretty. Not my kind of game.
Sure.
Then they ended the conference by announcing Arcane's new game. Arcane Austin's new game, because the other Arcane studio is the one that's doing Deathloop, which is Redfall, which the trailer I feel like did not a great job of explaining what that game is. Like the trailer looked like it was Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead again, but with vampires or something. And it's actually like an open world kind of game. Like it's an open world FPS, sort of like Destiny or Borderlands.
Yeah.
But Arcane is a hell of a studio, so I'm excited for that. Like I'm excited to see what they do after Deathloop. And that was the showcase. Bunch of stuff on Game Pass. 30, they showed 30 games, 27 of them are on Game Pass. Including the entire Yakuza series.
Go play that. I heard it'll make you cry.
They added Like a Dragon, which is the newest one. But like at this point, Game Pass is like too good. Game Pass is too good.
It's too powerful. Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed.
I'm very scared for what happens whenever the balance of power shifts into Microsoft's hands. If that happens.
Yeah. Because
like this, it almost screams Monopoly.
It does. Yeah. And like, you look at all these games and like Back 4 Blood is going to be day one. That's kind of a big deal. Like,
yeah.
Jury's still out on if that game is actually good, but it's obviously there's a lot of Left 4 Dead fans. So that'll find a place on Game Pass. Battlefield 2042 not coming to Game Pass is a big deal because, again, it's $70. So I think I'm going to be curious to see if EA publishes Battlefield statistics on Xbox. Because everybody playing on an Xbox will not be... They would have paid for it. And I'm kind of just curious is like how many people on Xbox are actually buying games? Because I don't know that I'm ever going to buy a game on Xbox. Because there's never going to be an Xbox exclusive game that's not on Game Pass.
Sure.
So why would I buy anything on like my library on Xbox is forever going to be empty. It's just going to be
it's going to be simultaneously endless and non-existent.
Right. So I'm curious to see what those numbers look like for Battlefield.
Microsoft, please can I please see how you're making this work?
I really want to know.
I just want to know.
They're never going to tell us.
No.
It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like with Game Pass, because I don't think Netflix is profitable still. And Netflix has been around for 15 years?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Sounds right.
The streaming part's probably closer to 10 years. But like, if Netflix still isn't profitable, I feel like Game Pass has to be even less profitable because games are so much more expensive than movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really want to know.
Not profitable.
It's the same way that like Twitter's not profitable. I don't think Twitter's ever made a cent. Like they've like a lot of these tech companies operate in the red, and they always operate in the red.
How are they still here?
Because Wall Street says they make money.
All right.
So that was the first big one. Let's speed up a little bit.
Sure.
Although that was Xbox, which is one of the two bigger ones. It's actually going to be pretty easy to speed up here because there's really nothing else to talk about. The Square Enix conference.
How dare you?
I sorry, I meant aside from Nintendo. There's
Okay.
nothing else to talk about aside from Nintendo. All of this other stuff is just noise. Square Enix was, I would say, on the same level as Ubisoft. I would say they had a few more like new things with the Guardians of the Galaxy right off the bat. That's kind of a cool announcement.
But they took like 25 minutes to talk about it, right?
Yeah, they talked about it a long time, and they showed off they showed off gameplay. I'm kind of glad they did that though, because I'm much more inclined to like play the game now. Because after they showed off like the combat, it looks much closer to Final Fantasy than it does Avengers, which is what I don't want. I don't want the Avengers. I want Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So like in that respect, and the fact that like you're not switching between the characters, you're just playing as Peter Quill, it allows like there's less variance there for it to be bad. Like if they have you playing all 5 Guardians and 3 of them suck to play, that game's not fun.
Yeah.
But if they're focusing just on Star-Lord, then there's a greater chance for that to actually be fun to play, I think. And the fact
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the two things for me was that I can't get used to seeing Star-Lord as not Chris Pratt. Which, like, again, the comics came out forever ago. But I feel like a lot of people know him as Chris Pratt now, and it's like, who's this blonde fuck?
I do appreciate that they went a completely different art direction.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Rocket's goatee, but other than that.
But the other thing I was gonna say is, I think for people who are co-streaming it, they had to like put in different music, which that sucks because half the point of Guardians is the music. That's why it's called like the awesome mix or whatever, and like, yikes.
That was a big point of contention on this press conference. And actually, you know what? This gets a lower grade than Ubisoft because of that. It's a D, not a C. Why can't Square Enix figure out audio on stream for DMCA? Everybody else has figured it out.
Yeah.
Xbox had no problems. Ubisoft didn't have any problems. But Square Enix feels like they have to go out and create a completely separate presentation for co-streamers to watch, where the music's not as good.
Nope.
You're Square Enix. You can figure that out.
You have money. I know you do.
Something else that I'm not stoked about is this Final Fantasy Pixel remaster, which when they announced it looked kind of cool because they're remastering Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are all the 2D Final Fantasies.
Yes.
Except that it's only going to, I think, Steam and mobile.
Yep. No consoles.
And it's not a collection. You have to buy all of those games separately.
One at a time.
What is that? What are you doing?
You know what that is? That's a Nintendo decision.
That's a weird Nintendo decision. Sure is. Babylon's Fall is a new game they showed off from Platinum Games. Platinum Games, I feel like, is really hit and miss. I really like Nier. I really like the Nier series. I really like Astral Chain on Nintendo Switch. I thought that game was really good from Platinum. This game didn't look so good. It looked very old. Not very, like, I don't know. It was very underwhelming.
Yeah, we're at such a weird point with games where, like, they fall into one of 3 categories. They have an artistic style where it shouldn't look super realistic or something, or it's just its own thing. Like it almost takes it out of the graphical like competition. It looks hyper realistic and beautiful, or for some reason it's running off of an engine from 10 years ago.
Yeah, totally agree. and I will talk about that during the Nintendo presentation.
Sure.
Then they showed off more Life is Strange, which we didn't get really anything new from that, except that it's coming to Switch, I guess. And then they finished with Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins, which is the Souls-like Final Fantasy game that they teased, or that was leaked sort of a week and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, because there's a demo out. Well, the demo came out and it was broken, apparently. But then they fixed it.
Perfect.
Apparently the combat's fun. The main character, though, is insufferable. And he looks like a total douche. Like, there's 3 characters in this game, like 3 main characters in your party or whatever. They all look like they come from different games. Like, their style doesn't match up at all. The main character is this dude that he looks like Akihiko from Persona 3, except he's 50 years old and he's wearing like this like Express t-shirt, and it's very weird. The design decisions they took on the costumes, it's very weird. The trailer,
was he the one? Was that the one? Did he have like a t-shirt that was half tucked in, and then there was like a really long piece that wasn't tucked in?
I think so.
Okay. It might have been from something else. One of the artists that I follow on Twitter, they like redrew it. They're like, what the fuck is this? And he just like lifted it up and it was his handkerchief and he just blew his nose into it.
The trailer they showed to debut this game was very unimpressive. The main character came off poorly. And it was not exciting. Like when you think Dark Souls, when you think Team Ninja and Neo and the Dark Souls formula, and you put it into Final Fantasy, that should be something that's like exciting, and this was not that.
Yeah.
The game could still come out. I mean, it's not coming out for another year, so it could be good eventually. It could just be this little slice that we saw that wasn't very good.
They actually get all their outfits after like 10 minutes of playing.
Yeah. Moving on from Square Enix, we get the PC Gaming Showcase, which I watched all the way through because I was sorely hoping for any kind of Persona announcement from Atlas. Didn't get that. Honestly, nothing in here spoke to me. They showed off Dying Light 2, which I know you're interested in, except that it was like that game has been in development for so fucking long. Just put the game out. Stop talking about it.
And if it's not ready, like if you're gonna have a Cyberpunk situation, then stop talking about it and work on it. Make it. Yeah.
This was another show that showed off these indie games that were at 5 other things. I think we saw Jurassic World, which is not an indie game, but we saw that Jurassic World Evolution 2 game literally 5 times.
And we saw it first at Summer Game Event.
Yep.
Because they had Jeff there.
So there wasn't really nothing here that interested me except Tinykin, which is a Pikmin clone that has a really cool art style.
You'll love to see it.
So that one I'm looking forward to. Everything else just runs together. Immediately after the PC Game Show was the Future Game Show. By the way, PC Gaming Show for me, D. Flat D. Not offensive like Randy Pitchford's face, but nothing exciting either.
On par with Square.
Then the Future Game Show was after that, which was basically just the PC Game Show extended. It was just a bunch of indie games. There was more here that looked interesting, and I'm sad that this occurred during E3. It was hosted by Troy Baker and Laura Bailey, who are 2 of my favorite people in the games industry. Yep. And like the games they showed here actually looked interesting. The issue was that after watching E3 for fucking however long these other press conferences were, everything ran together.
Yep.
It's exactly what I was worried about last week when we talked about E3, where all of this is just a jumble in the middle.
Yeah.
Nothing stands out.
You remember stuff from Nintendo, you remember stuff from Xbox and Bethesda, and like stuff from Ubisoft. You remember stuff from the big developers, but then every other thing is just there.
Right, which is a shame because a lot of those small games I'm interested in playing. I just can't, for the life of me, recall information about them.
Yeah.
Like I know Lake, which comes out on September 1st. It looks like you play a post office worker in this small town.
Yeah.
That
and you
one
can
looks
rent a
really
movie and
interesting.
make choices and stuff.
Like that one looks really cool. Kiwi is like, it basically looks like Overcooked, except you're two little kiwi birds doing a mailroom. It's really weird, but it looks cute. Like
Severed
these
Sea-
games,
it was like super hot, right?
mm-hmm. I think so. These games look cool. I wish that they would have been its own thing 2 weeks from now when I could have given it the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
So if you don't, when I wrote out these games, I went 1 through 5, and then on 6 I went ... because my mind just shut down and I couldn't remember anything after that.
That's valid.
So then we get to Monday, and Monday was nothing. It was a big old nothing burger. Verizon
didn't even turn it on.
And television, the Take-Two Interactive Diversity Panel, Mythical Games, the Indie Showcase, which I did watch, but again, it was just like the Future Game Show, where everything was either already shown or wasn't worth watching, or I just don't remember it. Freedom Games Ven, Capcom didn't have any new announcements, and then Razer showed off a new mouse or something. Like, there was nothing in day one, or on Monday rather, that kept my attention. But that's okay, because then we get to Tuesday and Nintendo's showcase. Give me your thoughts on the Nintendo showcase.
For me personally, it was the best one. And that is because there were surprises. Nothing overstayed its welcome. Like, they didn't ever focus too much on one thing. The biggest thing for me is that this was probably the first time, definitely out of all these things, but I think out of anything for E3 ever, where as soon as it was over, I was on Twitter waiting for pre-orders to like pop up, because I was like, I don't want to miss out on certain things, like special editions for certain things that I knew were going to be coming. So if you're talking about like engaging a consumer and actually getting them to spend their money, Nintendo dominated for me, because I instantly spent like $150.
It's actually kind of interesting to think about, because we just mentioned Ubisoft kind of ignoring the 90s and 2000s kids.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Nintendo was pandering to the 90s and 2000s kids.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like
somebody pointed out, they were like, it might have been Brian Altano, I don't remember. But somebody on Twitter was like, if you grew up with a Game Boy Advance, this Direct was basically for you.
Yeah, because you look at all of the things we weren't expecting at this.
Yeah.
Like, you start off with, just from the new stuff, you start off with Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, which is just a remaster of I think Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
GameCube, and Wii?
I think so. This is actually going to, I know for a fact it's coming to PS4 as well. I don't know if it's coming to Xbox. But regardless, we didn't know this game existed before this Direct. So right off the bat, you get Super Monkey Ball, which is a series that a lot of people love. Then you get Metroid Dread, which is literally a Game Boy DS game that just disappeared for 15 years.
It was hinted at, because I guess that there were leaks, so they like put a little Easter egg hint in Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah. And then they talked about like it. This was one of those things where like before every E3 for 5 years, people are like, oh, we're going to finally see Metroid Dread. Oh, we're going to see it finally. And then 5 years passed and nothing, and then it just falls off the face of the earth.
It became Half-Life 3.
Except we got it.
Yeah.
We're getting a new Cruisin' game. When was the last time we got a new Cruisin' game?
I have no idea.
I mean, I only think of Cruisin' like the arcade games, but like the fact that there's a new game at all is special. You're getting a new WarioWare game. You're getting Fatal Frame, which is not a game I like because it's too spooky, but I know a lot of people like that Fatal Frame.
Yeah, I will avoid it, but kudos to you for everybody who wanted it.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming to Switch. And then you're getting an Advance Wars remake, which is, again, I've never played that series, but I know it's a series that a lot of people fucking love.
A friend of mine, we had like a little group text going on, and he couldn't watch it at the time, and I said Advanced Wars, and he was like, fuck yes. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
It's a Nintendo IP. That's a game published by Nintendo that like everybody forgets about.
Yeah.
But like all of those announcements, which I should
That's
fall
like
in the category
of the announcements.
Yeah, that a lot of those games should fall into the category of me. Like, they should theoretically be in my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
but I think
I
had already moved on from Nintendo at that point. Like
sure.
because I was a Nintendo kid from N64 to early GameCube, and then as soon as I got my Xbox, I was done. Like I never went back aside from like Smash Brothers. My relationship with Nintendo basically got cut off.
This would have been like the 3 years after, like a 3-year period after you left.
Yeah. Like early 2000s, like 2002 or 2003 is when I really fell off the Nintendo ecosystem.
Yes.
So like all of these games are huge surprises, and they're a big deal to a lot of people. So that was interesting. Because again, you contrast that with what Ubisoft is doing, and they're like, oh, fuck that. Sam Fisher's dead.
Oh, there's something nostalgic that we could like just milk money out of you for? Nah. None of that. Get out.
How do you feel about Kazuya from Tekken?
I have no feelings. I played Tekken like twice growing up, and I could not tell you any of the characters' names.
Neither could I. Doesn't do anything for me. I think the only thing that really says is like, I don't know, with every passing character, like there's thousands of characters that aren't going to get the invite into Smash. And so now there's only one left. Who's it going to be?
There's going to be so much. That day is going to be the saltiest day on Twitter for me, probably ever.
Especially if it's another Kazuya type character.
Yeah.
Like if it's another fighting game character from Street Fighter or Tekken or Mortal Kombat or something, like I don't know that's going to go over well when people are expecting. I don't understand how they started off this DLC. Like they started off with fucking Joker and Banjo-Kazooie. And then I'm not saying that the others are bad, but like Byleth, okay. I know Fire Emblem Three Houses sold well and got people onto the Fire Emblem franchise. But Sword character. And you got Arms character, which like, okay, we're getting a Nintendo franchise in. Terry. It's just none of the other ones have matched the hype of Joker or Banjo-Kazooie.
No. Oh, well.
One of the other major ones. Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah, that's exciting. I feel like that's something that we've been asking for forever, and
so it's remakes of mini games from 1, 2, and 3, right?
It's remakes of mini games from I believe 1, 2, and 3. It's gonna be like the 100 best mini games between those, and then 5 of the maps from those as well.
I know it's 5 boards, but I don't know if they're from. I don't know what games they're from.
I'm not 100% sure either, but all the Mario parties like 1 through 7 kind of blend together.
Yeah. I guess the only thing for me, like I'm excited that these are like the ones that are good, because Mario Party after a certain point just like never lived up to the early ones.
No.
I'm excited
both on the boards and on the mini games.
Yeah.
Like,
and the mechanics too. Like I didn't like the character dice and then in Super Mario Party. I thought that was dumb. Like
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
But with this being all of the old ones and having like online capability day one.
Thank God. They're not gonna wait a weird 2.5 years and just be like, hey, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Guess what we did?
So that's exciting for Mario Party people. Then we got into the part of the show which was kind of disappointing for me. Actually, no, we got WarioWare. I forgot about WarioWare. WarioWare.
God, I'm so excited for that.
I am, and I'm also not. This is my Metroid Dread, where I'm like, is this game really worth $60?
That's fair. Yeah. It's not. I think it's $49.99.
Oh, is it? Again, okay.
It's still maybe not. Might be more than you're willing to pay for it, but I don't believe it's $60.
Okay. Because it's all mini games, right? It's
yeah.
It's stupid.
There's no storyline. It's literally just dumb little mini games.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it because I like the premise of the franchise. I don't know if it's something that's actually worth the money that they're wanting for it. And then they showed Shin Megami Tensei 5, which looked fine. It didn't look good though. It didn't look very good. I'm not saying anything about I don't know what the story's about. I don't know what is actually happening in the game. The actual combat looked fine. It's just the visuals in the game, the graphics of the game. And I'm not usually a graphics person, but this game definitely falls in that category you're talking about, where it doesn't have its own unique art style and it's not hyper realistic. It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. And it doesn't do it good.
It just looks dated.
It looks way too dated. And you compare this to Persona 5. Not even Royal. You just compare it to base Persona 5 on the PS3, because that game came out on the PS3 too. It was PS3 and PS4. And Persona 5 looks way better.
Oh, yeah.
Than what this game looks like. And I get that a lot of that is the graphical limitations of the Switch. I get that. It's just
But then go with a more unique art style.
Yeah.
If you're limited by the hardware, take a different approach.
And that lens, I really don't think that Persona 5, if this game looks like this on the Switch, how the fuck is Persona 5 going to run on a Switch?
It won't.
So I am disappointed by the way that game looks. I hope it's good. It's just, I don't think there's any reality where it's ever going to look good.
No.
You compare the screenshots from this to screenshots of the new Persona, or the new Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne remaster, and they look very similar.
They're making them at the same time. Same engine.
The PS2 and the Switch, same thing.
Yep.
Danganronpa's getting a remaster that's exclusively for the Switch for some reason, which is I think Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3.
I still barely know what this thing is. It's high school and survival.
Yeah. So Danganronpa
is like the original Hunger Games almost.
So the premise of the game is that this crazy maniacal bear named Monokuma brings together a group of exceptional youth, all of who have they're all the ultimate somethings. There's the ultimate swimmer and the ultimate idol and the ultimate whatever. And then he tells them that the only way to escape the school that they're in, or the predicament that they're in, is to kill somebody and get away with it. So basically the gameplay is kind of Phoenix Wright. It's there's these class trials where you have to figure out who killed somebody.
Gotcha.
And then there's some other aspects of the game too, but that's that's the short of it.
Seems to have a cult following though.
It does. For sure it does. It originally launched on Vita, and it was one of those games that people fucking raved about on the Vita forever. Doom Eternal DLC, Tony Hawk we talked about, Mario plus Rabbids we talked about, Advanced Wars we talked about. Then we get to the ending segment, which was the Zelda segment. Age of Calamity DLC, which I'm sure you're excited for.
Oh yeah, I'll be getting that. That's tomorrow, right?
That's what. Yeah, if that date's right. I wrote that date down. I think it's right. I don't know. Skyward.
Oh, piss. What am I gonna do for this weekend then?
Oh fuck!
Oh,
No, Final Fantasy. It can be your reward for finishing Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Skyward Sword on July 16th. Zelda Game & Watch. You gonna buy that?
I already pre-ordered it.
And then the moment we were all waiting for, The Legend of Zelda : we still don't know because they don't want to tell us what the title is, lest they spoil the game.
Yeah, apparently it's a spoiler, which
they're gonna announce it though, right? Like we're not gonna.
They have to tell us. Or do you? Is that your reward for beating the game? You get
the title.
You find out what the title is.
They're gonna tell us what the title is before the fucking game comes out, so they're gonna spoil it apparently at some point.
At some point, yeah. They just don't want to spoil it.
It's almost worse that they told us
a year before.
Like it's almost they should have just said we haven't named it yet. It's fucking Project Triangle Strategy. Eat it, and then just like. But now
the Triforce.
But now that we know that it's gonna spoil the game, we're gonna fucking like. Whenever they do announce it, we're gonna agonize over it and try and figure it out.
Or here's an idea: make a new name.
I saw an interesting.
Why don't you do that?
I saw an interesting theory.
I've seen lots of interesting theories.
That the one I saw is that you're playing as Ganon.
Interesting.
So like
I have not seen that.
I'll send it to you. But I guess like there's an image in Breath of the Wild where like there's an image of Ganon and he kind of looks like that the hair that character.
Oh yeah,
has.
it's like the rune, like the rune image where he's in the center and he's got like the long red hair and it's like the kind of almost tribal art.
Right. So the theory is that he was the original hero of 1,000 years ago or whatever. And that you might play part of the game as Ganon. So that's the theory I saw. That's kind of interesting. I don't know that I can trust Nintendo to like go that far with it, but
I really don't think that they would do that.
They said 2022. Except that all of the like every word that came out of that dude's mouth was like, I hope. Like, I really hope it's 2022, you guys. We're really hoping it's 2022.
We're trying for you, okay? We're really trying.
Any other thoughts on Zelda?
I really thought we were going to get... I really thought... And maybe it's coming as soon as Skyward Sword comes out. Maybe they're going to have a Zelda Direct. But, like, they said half the things they would say now.
Yeah, they've announced
but I
so
thought
much.
I thought we were going to get, like, at least one, if not... between 1 and 4 of the 3D titles ported to Switch. I thought for sure we would at least get one more. But I figured that they would do, like... The collections that I saw people doing that I thought were most realistic to keep in line with like the Mario collection was doing a Nintendo 64 collection with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then a GameCube collection, which would be Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I could see them doing that, making 2 separate collections because they're Nintendo and they want to make, exponential money on something that they already have sold 8 times. But at least it's a bundle, so like you can kind of justify it and be like, okay, it's $30 per game if you break it out. I thought that we were going to get at least one game, if not those 2 as different bundles. But now I don't think we're getting anything. Because that's not enough to justify a Zelda Direct.
No.
And they've already told us about the Age of Calamity DLC. They've told that the Skyward Sword is coming out in like a month. We have the Zelda Game & Watch, so that's already been announced. There's nothing more to talk about on that. And then
I almost wonder
more info on Breath of the Wild 2.
No, we're not. At this point, we're not getting a Zelda Direct. I don't think.
No.
However, I could see another Direct in August or September, where they maybe drop one of those 2 collections or both. Because
sure.
Here's a question I have for you. Is there anything here that they didn't talk about that you expected them to talk about? Because I really expected Donkey Kong. We got nothing from Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I thought that we would get something from Donkey Kong. I thought maybe we would get just a whisper of the next Mario 3D title. Nothing
No.
crazy, but like even just like a title card or something. That's really it though.
Yeah. I almost wonder if they're going to do, I don't know what else I guess they could update us on Project Triangle Strategy. I think that I've heard whispers of something Fire Emblem. Maybe not a new Fire Emblem game. I thought I heard about remasters for the original Fire Emblem games. So like I feel like they could do another, not maybe a direct of this size, but like a 30-minute direct.
Yeah.
Where they maybe drop something else before fall really hits. And maybe they want to maybe they don't want to mention it here because they want to get Skyward Sword out and have people buy Skyward Sword before they get mad that they're going to have to buy 2 more collections.
Yeah. I could see that happening. Also, going back to Skyward Sword, I've got to imagine that the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 just increased Skyward Sword sales by a lot. Especially with the floating islands and like the free falling image that was almost identical to the one in Skyward Sword. It's like they're almost hyping it up and like saying that Skyward Sword is going to be very relevant to the story of Breath of the Wild 2, which it could, because Skyward Sword is the origin story of like literally Zelda, like and the goddess and the Master Sword. It wasn't even the Master Sword at the start of that game.
That's certainly what it seems like.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Breath of the Wild 2. It's going to be Skyward Sword 2.
Yep.
So my thought, I give Nintendo, I'm not as high on it as you because I don't have that connection to all of those.
Sure.
The games that they showed in the middle of the conference with the monkey balls and the WarioWares, the monkey balls, the Wario's, the Advance Wars, those things. I don't have that connection. However, I do think those are still cool announcements, and they're things we never saw coming.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think they really showed anything here that's a blow me out of the park. Like, the game that I wanted to be that game, which was Shin Megami Tensei 5, didn't hold up. And the only game that they really dropped that was hype was Breath of the Wild 2, but it's not coming when we hoped it was coming, and they didn't give us an actual name for it. Like the trailer itself was good to see some like the new powers and the weird robot arm and who like it looks cool.
And his just ability to like fucking go through walls,
yeah,
I guess now.
His Lemillion ability.
It almost feels like it almost feels like this. Like they're bringing the mechanics from Skyward Sword with floating islands and a lot of aerial stuff, but they're also maybe seemingly bringing to some extent the mechanic of A Link Between Worlds, where you could like be a portrait and go on walls and stuff, like and go through walls and stuff like that. So it kind of feels like they're bringing all these themes and elements from a lot of Zelda games and just putting them into one giant game, which would be cool.
Yeah, the trailer was cool. It's just the timing and the caginess of like the developer kind of brought the hype down a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, like there was nothing that was like really hype. It was a great show. There was no dead time. They didn't linger anything too long. From a presentation standpoint, great. There just wasn't any like hashtag Gatorade get hype moments.
You personally weren't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would give it a B. I would give Xbox the A. And then what? Ubisoft gets a C. Everything else is either a D. Gearbox is an F. Is how that goes.
That's fair.
You,
the only thing I would change is I would say Nintendo gets the A and Xbox gets the A minus. Like Nintendo just had the edge on Xbox, and that's probably nostalgia fueled, but whatever.
So let's go through our predictions real quick.
I hate this part.
You didn't do as, I think you might not be as upset at the end of it. Okay, so starting off with Ubisoft, I predicted that the two games that were announced forever ago, Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2, they will not show up in any capacity Ubisoft Forward. I got that correct. 1 point.
Nailed it.
For Ubi, John predicted a new Assassin's Creed continuing with Norse? ?
We got DLC.
We did get DLC, but that's not a new Assassin's Creed.
No, it's not.
However, he also predicted a new Mario plus Rabbids title, which he got correct.
Thank you, Nintendo and Ubisoft.
For Xbox, I predicted Starfield will be unveiled with both a story trailer and an extended segment featuring a deep dive into world building and gameplay. My brain says they'll stick to a 2022 release date, but my heart wants Q4 2021. I was right that they gave us a story trailer. I was also right that they picked a 2022 release date. However, they did not give us any deep dive into world building or gameplay.
Yeah.
So I gave myself 2/3 of a point there.
Fair.
I also predicted that Playground Games has made significantly more progress on Fable in the last year and will debut a new story trailer. No release date will be given. No release date was given, but the game also wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
1/4 of a point. My last Xbox prediction was that we get an FPS surprise from Bethesda. Either id Software will tease the next entry for Doom, or Machine Games could have two teams and announce a new Wolfenstein game to complement Indiana Jones. We did get an FPS surprise from Bethesda, except that it was from Arcane Austin with Redfall. It was not id nor Machine Games. So I gave myself 1/2 of a point there.
That's fair.
For Xbox, John predicted Fable trailer and release date.
Nope.
He predicted Halo Infinite brand new trailer showcasing a lot of changes with release this year. So here's how I calculated this. You can tell me if I'm off base. I gave John 3/4 of a point because we did get a new trailer.
Yep.
The release is still technically this year. They said holiday 2021.
As of right now, I am correct.
However, they didn't really show any changes.
Yeah.
Except they showed some multiplayer changes.
They also showed just a change in tone and story and direction, I think.
Would you say that? I don't think there's enough.
I mean, introducing a new AI.
Sure. But I don't know that was like they
I'm happy with my 3/4 of a point.
Okay.
So we're good.
I don't think it, because for me to say that show a lot of changes, I feel like they would have had to show us basically something very similar to the trailer they showed last year, except the brutes need to look like not shit, and I don't know, it has to be more interesting somehow.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Elder Scrolls 6 release date and actual trailer.
Nope. Big ol' fuck you from Bethesda.
Okay. Honestly, I posted a poll yesterday. What comes out first, Elder Scrolls 6 or GTA 6?
It has to be Elder Scrolls 6, right?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, because here's my reasoning. Bethesda Game Studio is not working on... they are working on both Starfield and Elder Scrolls at the same time. But those are not games they're going to put out in the same calendar year.
No, so that means Elder Scrolls would be 2023 at the minimum.
I'm thinking more like fall 2024. GTA 5 came out in 2013. And Bethesda and at least Bethesda Game Studios has worked on Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 in between Skyrim and Starfield. Like, Bethesda Game Studio has put out other games. Rockstar has only put out Red Dead Redemption 2. That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like GTA
You're probably
6
right.
has to come out before Elder Scrolls. But everybody that voted in my poll said Elder Scrolls is coming out first. So it was like, I think 10
We're trying to
1.
manifest it.
It was
We're just
literally
trying to
10
manifest
to 1.
Did you vote? Were you that one vote?
No, it doesn't. If you post a poll, you can't vote on your own thing.
Oh, okay.
Moving on to Square Enix. Square Enix is going to show off something new for Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 16, I Sleep, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, or Final Fantasy Origins, I Wake. It was Final Fantasy Origins, except I still slept. 1 point. John predicted for Square Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2 announced.
Nope.
So that's 100% going to be on PlayStation stage when that happens. And then another way too long look at Project Triangle Strategy. Fortunately, no.
Thank God. I am so happy that that's not right.
I predicted for the PC Gaming Show after last year's leak, Atlas was actually able to keep something under wraps. A version of either Persona 3 or Persona 5 will be released on Steam.
It's so under wraps that they forgot to bring it up.
They kept it under too many wraps. Didn't happen. Moving on to Nintendo. I predicted Shin Megami Tensei 5 finally gets a proper gameplay reveal trailer and a release date for Q4 2021. We did get the first gameplay trailer, and it is releasing Q4 2021. 1 point. Regardless of Breath of the Wild 2's attendance, I might dock myself more here. I'll let you decide. Regardless of Breath of the Wild 2's attendance, we are going to get at least one more Zelda game that launches in 2021.
Are you counting the...
I counted Game & Watch.
The Game & Watch? Yeah, I don't...
Because I did include like the Zelda 99 type deal.
Yeah.
And obviously this isn't that, but it's still a game, but it's also...
It's weird because whenever you said that there'd be one more Zelda game launching, I assumed it would be launching on Switch. I didn't really consider... Like, I figured we were going to get the Game & Watch thing, but I didn't really think about that in terms of like a game. Which is fair because it has 4 games on it.
Right,
3 of them are actual Zelda games.
Yeah, right.
One's just a reskinned Game & Watch game. That's fair. You're literally getting Zelda, Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening. Those are 3 Zelda games that you're able to get again.
Then my last Nintendo prediction, rumors or... I think it should be on. Rumors on likely attending franchises include Zelda, Pokemon, Metroid, and Donkey Kong. At least one other first-party franchise that is not rumored will be included. Think Star Fox, F-Zero, Mother, even Mario. No one in their mother was expecting WarioWare. No one in their mother was expecting Super Mario or Mario Party Superstars. Advance Wars. Fucking what? So many. 1 point. For Nintendo, John predicted Breath of the Wild 2 full trailer and release date for this year. No release date.
I was trying to will that into being.
But you got the trailer, so I have a point. Metroid Prime 4 first peek kind of deal. Not a full trailer, but more than a title card. No date. No Metroid Prime 4. Now, had you pulled out the Metroid...
All they did was say, hey, we're still working on Metroid Prime 4.
They did say that.
For like a second before they were like, hey, but know what we have instead?
Do you think anybody in the world that cares about games, maybe they don't have a podcast, maybe they're not an actual like games industry person, do you think anybody was actually like hoping to see Metroid Dread here?
I mean, I think people were hoping, but I don't think anybody had even the slightest expectation. There was nobody out there who had their own personal predictions and was like, this is the year. This is the year we get Metroid Dread.
My last prediction was that Telltale is back and The Wolf is Among Us. Unfortunately, that was not true. No Wolf Among Us to be spoken of.
That is such a sad one to get wrong.
And then John predicted gameplay reveal of Earthblade, which is from Extremely OK Games. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was not there either.
We got a vibe reveal. I thought that like that was their way of saying, hey, we're ready to show stuff about this at E3.
So out of 10 possible points, I got 6.41 points, which is a 64.1% correct prediction ratio. rate.
Pass, fail, you passed.
I passed. John got 2.25 points.
Yikes.
Which is a 22.5%. Now, here's the silver lining, though, John. If you scroll down that archive document to the E3 prediction scores, your first year predicting back in 2018, you had a 12.7% correct guess. Then in 2019, the following year, you bumped up, you doubled it to 26.6. You only went down a little bit. And there was a year off in between. You were a little rusty there. You went from
for sure. Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah, see, we didn't predict in 2020 because there was no E3 in 2020. So going from 2019 to 2021, you only lost, what is that, 3.1%? Something 4.1%. That's not bad.
No, I can live with that.
So there you have it. E3.
I'll have to retake the class, but
nah, you still got credit. You were there.
It's pass. It's not even pass fail. It's just attendance.
Attendance. Yeah, exactly.
Participation.
So there you have it. E3 2021. We are already at time here, but let's extend the podcast just a few minutes.
Okay.
Why do we fucking need this event, John?
We don't.
What was the point of this?
We do not need this event.
Because
I can kind of understand if it's in person and like a live thing with an audience and people can go and see an artist alley and there's cosplay and like if it's an actual event, fine. If it's a digital thing, we do not need this as an organized E3 banner event. Let everybody just make their own presentation and release it into whatever streaming services whenever they want. Or go with the Jeff Keighley route and like have it all be one big thing, but spread it out so that you're not overwhelmed and forget all the cool stuff because there's just literally too much happening.
There's way too much happening. I'm really curious to see what happens next year because it's going to be a live event next year, like an in-person live event in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They had the fucking mayor of Los Angeles come out on E3 stage and say, we can't wait to have you back next year.
We can't wait for your money next year.
My question is who's going to be there? Because PlayStation's not fucking coming back to this thing.
No.
And with EA doing its own thing in July, and before E3, before the pandemic, EA wasn't at E3 anyway. EA was like across the street. They like formally separated from E3 completely to do EA Play Live, which was like their own thing. And why would they need like they're not going to be there probably. So
no.
In terms of the actual press conferences that we used to have, we're talking about Xbox and we're talking about Ubisoft. Maybe Square Enix. Except I doubt that, I mean, Square Enix was a late player to the game anyway, and now they're doing these Square Enix Presents on a somewhat regular basis. This was the third, I think, Square Enix Presents we've gotten. So I don't see them going back to do a physical press conference. So in terms of actual in-person press conferences, we're going to have two. Maybe the PC Game Show becomes a live conference, except that that conference didn't have anything of note.
Yeah.
So there's like, I don't understand what it's going to look like, because if it's just going to be this again, where literally anybody can do a digital event and E3 is going to promote it. Like the influencers that I watched E3 through, they've already said they're not going to cover this the same way next year. They're not going to do a live reaction to every single one of these shows.
No.
And I'm not going to tune in to watch most of these shows because it's proven this year that none of them matter. The only two that were worth watching, truly, were Xbox and Nintendo. Ubisoft and Square Enix were fine, but there was nothing mind-blowing there.
Yeah.
Everything else was just a total pass. And I go back...
Lots and lots of noise.
I go back to why are we doing this? I'm actually curious to see what Jeff Keighley does. If Jeff Keighley keeps up the Summer Game Fest thing next year. And if more of these, especially these indie publishers, gravitate towards that. Because if we spread out these indie events to where there's maybe one every 2 weeks, then that's my ideal thing for those indie games because they get their own spotlight.
It can actually be a summer of games.
Jeff Keighley's taking it on. He's showing everything. And then, like, I don't know, maybe E3 can just be Xbox and Ubisoft? Nintendo, I guess?
You don't need E3 for that. Just have... Nintendo just makes their directs. You don't need anything for Nintendo.
So I'm right back to where I was at the start of this conversation last week, where this is not needed.
No, get rid of it.
We talked about last week where, like, in order for E3 to be successful this year, Microsoft and Nintendo would have to have such stellar press conferences that they elevate all of the other small ones.
Yes.
I thought they both had really good press conferences, but neither one of them elevated anything else.
No.
They all existed in a vacuum, and at the end of the day, I don't remember most of that vacuum.
It was almost actually the opposite effect, where it was like, yeah, these two giants had such a great show that literally everything that wasn't them is now just a big blur.
100%. And if I'm PlayStation, again, why am I sharing my press time with Microsoft?
Yeah.
Why am I mixing up the big reveals that we have with all of the conversation surrounding Game Pass when we can have our event in July and no one's talking about Game Pass? There's no reason to. And without PlayStation, I just don't think that E3 survives. Like, not to say that, like, PlayStation is not the games industry, but when you take them out of it, it's just not as special.
When you take 1/3 of the console market manufacturers and therefore 1/6 of the software developers out of the picture, yeah, that's not good. That's not healthy for the diversity of your show that you need to keep everybody interested.
So that is the depressing end to E3. I hope that we get I don't know, like, I hope over the next couple weeks, I hope that we see from developers and from publishers that, like, we don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that some of these indie developers come out and publicly say, yeah, this was maybe not a good idea to have our game at this thing.
I would like a formal apology from Verizon.
I would like for Randy Pitchford to, first of all, never say anything ever again.
Yes.
But then also to retire or just resign or whatever in disgrace. And for his replacement to come out and apologize for that.
Can Randy Pitchford join Jeff on the little spaceman expedition? Did you see there's a petition going on to not allow Jeff Bezos to come back to Earth?
Can't come through customs, Jeff. You got to go back.
Sorry, you left and we all signed a petition. Ugh.
All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the QuickTime Event Podcast. We always, as much as we shit on E3, I think it's always good talking material at the very least. So I hope you have enjoyed our conversations. We will be back next week with yet another episode of the podcast. I can't remember if we're going to do it next week or the week after, but we're going to do our Game of the Year sort of like halfway point discussion on like what we played, what we still are looking forward to, what we think might take that Game of the Year spot at the end of the year. That's coming up here pretty soon. We'll be back next week also with the Let's Play series. I unfortunately had to cancel our Let's Play series this week because I burned $40 worth of steak. And I was mad, and I didn't want to podcast when I was mad.
That's fair.
I was grilling steak on the grill. I put a little bit of butter on top of the steak as it was grilling, and that was a mistake because the butter fell off the steak. And then I walked out into my backyard, and my grill was on fire, and it was very upsetting. So don't put butter on your steak when you're grilling it, please.
Nope.
That was sad. But we'll be back next week with Persona 4. We're getting close to the end. If you liked what you heard, you can find this podcast live on twitch.tv/QTE Plays every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find it on YouTube and all of your favorite podcast services. I'm on Twitter at Josh Clasen. John is on Twitter at John Kaminko. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourselves an awesome weekend, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.